moment. I could invert the Nakama drama and let's become a legend. No, we don't hear you.
Corn cobs, sir.
Corn. Well, you see.
Oh, no.
The boomer is showing. Your boomer is showing, PBK. And my car mic is terrible, too. I blame that. I don't know. Meanwhile, it's been a minute, so we'll enjoy this branding while he gets it working.
Slime! What? It's a river of slime!
This means that the individual's psyche is far from being safely synthesized. On the contrary, it threatens to fragment only.
Go ahead and try and talk over it if you need to test it, Paul.
Onslaught of unchecked emotions. While this situation is familiar to us from the studies of anthropologists, it is not so irrelevant to our own advanced civilization as it might seem. We too can become dissociated and lose our identity. We can be possessed and altered by moods or become unreasonable and unable to recall important facts about ourselves.
I checked the settings in StreamYards to see which one it's using.
What the devil has gotten into you? We talk about being able to control ourselves, but self-control is a rare and remarkable virtue.
Now, I understand Mark D. Parker had also infiltrated the Connecticut event, and since we still can't hear PVK, he can just make really expressive expressions. Gentlemen, what was the worst thing about the Connecticut event?
I'm going to say it was the monstrous forearms of Michael Sartori.
Monstrous
Scared
forearms
the heck out
of
of me.
Michael Sartori. Jeff, what was the worst thing for you?
Cold hands.
You were groped by cold hands?
No. I was beset by cold on my own hands.
I see. Mr. Mark Parker, what was the worst thing about the Connecticut adventure for you?
A cold, I guess, would be it.
Oh,
It was
sissy pants. These are supposed to be men, ladies and gentlemen.
No. I made this absolutely clear watching Paul's brother-in-law working in his short sleeves. And I just simply told him, I said, you're making us all look bad. You're a real man and here's a fake man. He's amazing and killing it. So, yeah. No, it was cold. And I come from Southern California. It was like 100 degrees like 5 days before I went to Connecticut.
Well, we got an important question in the audience. I hate to interrupt. It says, "Is Upcycle Club
I think we heard you,
oligarch?"
I think we heard Tess.
And the answer, backing me, and the answer is he lives in Cyprus. Cyprus, it's like near Greece or something. I don't know. Are you audible, PVK?
I think so. Can you hear me?
There you are. What was the worst thing about the Connecticut event?
Poor Sherry Harkin got frozen out of the she shed.
Frozen out. I see.
She had to spend the night in the car. She was so cold.
Oh, a lodging. Yeah, well, apparently the correct answer was that we only had such little time together that didn't elicit that response. I don't know what to do. Look at this. Roderick Hare coming in, doing his best to keep up with ups. Gosh, thank you so much, Roderick. That really
Buy
helps
some
the
new
channel.
hair.
Really helps the channel. Who are you typing to, Pee-wee? No, it's Jeff. Jeff, we hear you typing.
Oh,
Stop.
sorry.
Stop it, man.
I am in a park in Santa Rosa, California. Beautiful Santa Rosa. Got some porta potties behind me, just for the for those who use the porta potty at my sister's place. My sister's a piece of work. She really is. She is.
Well,
they're my brother-in-law too. So they're.
I haven't asked Mark, but the other three representatives said they'd do it again. So it must have been not.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, in a heartbeat. And kind of the hard part is I felt this little twinge of depression being away. I felt like something was missing after the first couple days being home. That it was just like that was just an incredible experience. And I'm like trying to figure out the math on how to do like a dedicated retreat house, what the cost would be, and how many retreats you'd have to host. But you could to serve maybe 450 people a year in this sort of format, and I think you make it work. I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily cheap, but I think you can make it work, and I think it's the kind of thing that people need.
Well, Paul,
See,
in one of our first conversations, you talked about buying a hotel for something like this. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I still think about it. You can get these hotels in Northern California and these beautiful old highways that go through the canyons. They have these little hotels, and they're usually not economically viable. But I thought, boy, it'd be kind of fun to buy one and just do a bunch of retreats and conferences there. That would be fun. It'd be sort of like Labrie. Labrie did the same thing in Switzerland. But yeah, it was a great time. I loved doing it, and I'll have to see if I still haven't sort of gathered I have to gather a group of the willing in around Livingstones to say, okay, do we want to do an event? What's it going to take? And I think there's some people that are very excited about it. So they'll be about the size of the Northwestuary, probably, because that's about all our facility can handle. Our facility is smaller than the Olympia, Washington CRC, but we have a lot of rooms that could be used for breakout rooms. That's right. I'm grifting. Grifting.
He's learned from the best, though. I got to give a shout out to Andre, for scoring the +3 to next stream saves by commenting over on the X platform, where I'm still trying to build an audience.
I got about an hour of membership video this morning driving in the dark here. So that's coming. But I was listening to, thanks Neil for leaning on me with the making of the big book. That book is full of nuggets of wisdom in terms of exactly how that thing started, and a whole bunch of mishaps and strange characters. And, it's very TLC like in that sense.
Well, PVK, since I have you here and on this stream that's replacing your absent one, why would you not address the allegations I made in the earlier part of the stream about how if all these organizations and things that were sprouting up back in those days had such a powerful influence, what's up with the Masons, and why does the Blue Church have to pretend they don't exist?
The Masons are almost gone. There was a Mason in the TLC for a while on Bridges of Meaning. So I might take some of what I'm putting in the membership video for a video for Monday. We'll see what I do when I get home. But you have to have the particularity below and sort of the fluidity above to actually make something last. And it's really interesting that apparently the Oxford Club is still around, Oxford groups, but Masons, I think they're too 16th, 17th century to really last. So
how about the other topic I was leaning on in that? And like, say, for example, the four of you, having been at this Connecticut estuary event, had gathered in a room and said things in that room to each other that, like, does a person, a human, an image of bearer of God, like actually verbally saying something? Like, how much power is in that to bind the lives of people, do you think? We'll start with Jeff and go around.
I think there's a lot. I mean, I've already branded myself as one of the Quinn Brook Farms 12, and that's an experience that I'll always have with me. And I think a part of that power is, being able to establish that unique connection that only, the 12 of us in that moment will have, very similar to what I was hearing coming out of Olympia, where it was, group 8 group 8 for life or something like that. Whatever some people were saying about the estuary group that they were in. So yeah, to answer your question in a word, powerful.
Neil, I'm going around this way, if you can tell.
Yeah, in the corporate world, they always focus on how do we bind people together, and they have various activities, but they cannot go anything past the surface level, because there's only a surface level activity that is safe enough not to make anyone feel uncomfortable or
Establish
drive
legal
anyone away.
liabilities.
Yeah, all of that stuff too. Yeah, so I think it confirmed a lot of things that I thought already about the necessity of courage and the necessity of vulnerability, and through the voluntary vulnerability, it allows courage to be imparted on others, and through the courage being imparted on others, that's when the binding actually can occur. Because so you could think of it as soldiers. What actually binds them together is the necessity to rely on one another in extremely difficult, extremely dangerous, situations. So it's very hard to bind people together who, how do I say this? The act of necessity is, I think, understated and important. And yeah.
All right,
I'll
Neil,
leave it
that's
at that.
funny from you. PVK.
Can you
The
restate
word
the
made
question?
flesh. The power of an oath and the human testifying and the word and that riff.
It occurs to me that Jesus' disciples spent 3 years together, and the rest of their time they were apart, and they changed the world by going out into the world. I think now this group, the Quinn Brook 12, really only one person there wasn't hardcore. He was a newbie who came, and I think was quite touched by the whole thing. I think actually in this case, we all sort of gathered around what we already knew, and at least the beginnings of the relationships that we had, and spending some more time with Mark D. Parker and him not doing his serial killer things on all of us there. That was a plus. Getting to know Michael Santori and understanding that he was the youth leader for 2 of my cousin's kids. And he is Gimli. I mean, if you'd give him an axe, it would all be there. So it was
Halloween.
It was great.
Mark.
Well, this is the same group that did the late night Linda Ronstadt session, by the way. This floor.
I was just listening to Linda.
Well, on the road, great.
Long time. Look up Linda Ronstadt. Long time.
Which is better, looking or listening?
Listening.
Oh,
Let's
listen.
break into it. Let's quit talking about Linda Ronstadt.
You boys make me feel so young.
There was no oath taking. I mean, it was your own honor. Everybody brought skin to the game, or invested deeply into it. That's the bond. The bond comes organically. Nothing was imposed other than the protocol. And
I was trying to engage you all in a hypothetical in which where the vulnerability and openness you had for each other in that moment, where if it were such a contextual situation that you were to take an oath to each other at that point, and just the whole notions of how it feels to me that part of what we've lost in the fire is that a man is only as good as his word. And like the whole Bitcoin thing is aiming for a trustless society. And there's just this whole speaking things into existence angle, or the way humanity works. It's all like this amorphous whatever. But that's what I the power of the word itself in our lives.
Are you looking for an antidote to that, Graham? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I think I'm more looking for like confirmation that of what I've seen, that we're losing it, and that it's something important, that it does have the power to shape lives, what we actually give speech to versus what we tweet or whatever.
I think I two thoughts. The first one is we let our yes be yes and our no be no. A very famous Jew said that. And the second thing, I think there's a lot of, it's natural when you find something that you're excited about to sort of lean into the future and expect the best days ahead of you, which is a good thing. But I think, I cherish the now of the meeting. It was deeply meaningful. There was a strong sense of community. I mean, for me, the difficult thing with these is always I have all these Christian rituals that I want to sort of bring into the group to sort of gel it, but I hold back because that's part of the estuary agreement, and that leaves a little something for the pastors and the priests when people go home. So I think where on the one hand it's wonderful to anticipate growth, but even reading the writing of the big book, and this person is sort of a modern historian. He's trying to debunk a whole bunch of myths and hagiography with the beginning of AA. Everybody loves to be at the beginning of something sweet. And I think that's where we are. And I'm just happy to be here.
Paul, one really strange thing happened to me, and I shared this with Jeff and Tayo and a couple others on Discord, is I was home 4 hours. I went home through Chicago, so I was a day later coming home. But as soon as I got home, like 4 hours later, I'm on a drive into San Bernardino to get dinner for the family, right? And run across a kid. I didn't run into him, but I mean a kid, a 21-year-old guy, darts into traffic, and his face is all covered in blood. And it turns out that he had been assaulted by a homeless guy with a crowbar or something. And I found myself 4 hours after coming home from Connecticut, in a sense, from the retreat, because this is all kind of in my head, is that while a woman is holding the guy's head in her arms, wrapping it in a jacket or whatever she could get, and I'm holding the kid's bloody hand for about 20 minutes until paramedics and police arrive. And I'm like going, this place needs what we're doing so badly. The kid could have easily been homeless himself or a runaway or something. I was too old to be a runaway, but he was not wealthy himself. I think I saw the guy who attacked him, who was a mess. And, when the police arrive, they're so flat-footed and so socially inept.
Hey, we back the blue on this channel, pal. Quit your lefty nonsense.
I'm saying they were ill-equipped sociologically. When the paramedics arrived, they knew what to do. But there was to touch the kid, to reach the kid, to be with or even to reach the guy who attacked the kid. They don't have what it takes. None of them.
All right. Well, I got people sitting backstage.
And the people, what happened here, what happened in Connecticut, what happened in Olympia too. But this what we're doing is important to reestablishing some level of humanity in a powerful way, maybe bringing it into new levels. I don't know, but I'm saying what we're doing matters.
Well, I agree. And this is a replacement for PVK's live stream on Fridays, and that nothing makes that more true than the inclusion of Furry David J. Boosted. How do you say that?
Booze-a-till.
Booze-a-till.
Okay, welcome, baby. Welcome.
Until we meet again.
And we also have another Connecticut referee.
Oh, Gimli himself.
Michael Sartori. Welcome.
Thank you for enunciating that R. It's hard even for me.
I
mean,
feel
it's
bad
hard for
that you were Saint Sartori, and so I put the N in the people's heads. So, David, what did you want to bring?
Yeah, I was listening to someone. This is more connected with what you were saying, Grim. I was listening to someone who had cancer and wanted to find out if there was anything to prayers for healing, but he felt that he had to go to places where people really meant it. So he went to it was either a jungle or tribal situation. And he said that the only prayers that he found really effective, like he believed in prayer that it could change things, but that they had to be commands. He said the most effective ones were not, God, I don't want to bother you. I know you have a plan, so whatever. But he found,
where
he said
it's like
those.
you invoke the blood of Christ as if you are allowed to because his blood has redeemed you, and you can command those sorts of things.
And you command it. You say this is what's going to happen, right? And we are utterly terrified of doing that and of people being disappointed. But this guy was cured of it. Was a form of cancer where they were like, it's inoperable, and he's like, you know what? I'm a Christian. I bet I could find someone who could actually heal me. And he had to run out into the middle of some jungle, but he's like cured of it. And there's these two levels of it because he doesn't want to get into too many details about it. But I could find it and even send it to you, Grim. But it was exactly as you're saying. It must be verbalized. It's not a prayer in your secret heart. That it had to be said out loud, that you had to have the guts to actually put yourself on the line.
Faith, perhaps. Now to fill up the screen, Chad the Dad, but it's Mike's turn to talk.
I just wanted to come in and say hi because I know these people now for reals. So, hi everybody.
And what was the worst part of Connecticut for you?
That
Don't say the cold.
was great.
I found it invigorating.
He's got that permanent scarf on his face. He's fine.
Well, it's just, summer never ends here. It kind of gets boring. So, I mean, I would say
there's the forearm.
I don't want to cause you to struggle, Neil. Sorry.
He's got nothing. His mama taught him that if you don't got nothing nice to say.
It was a lot. I was like, what? I need a lot of time to process this. And then I got home and my wife was like, oh, good. I can take a break now because I've been alone with the kids all weekend. And I was like, okay. And then every day at work, it was, we have an emergency. We need you to do all this stuff. And so I've just been like, not.
All right. We'll just say one bad thing and move on. We're on a show here.
No, I can't. It was great. Everything about it was great.
All right, Chad, welcome aboard. What brings you?
I saw my internet friends and thought I'd say hello. Hello.
Hello, Chad.
What do you feel about did you catch Pay's homeroom this morning?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he actually is listening to that book and did a video on it. I still have to watch that cool ass movie that you have that you put up there.
John Doe?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I've only seen Grim Grizz's adjunct professing on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube.
It's the first model of Tyler Durden. If you've been touched by Fight Club, you should go watch. You should go back and watch John Doe. What's the official title, Paul?
Meet John Doe.
Meet John Doe. I always confuse it with Meet that black guy with the Brad Pitt because of that.
Joe Black. Yeah.
Yes. That's what goes. That it tries to medically insert when I try to remember the actual Meet John Doe film.
Resist the mind control, Grizz. Come on.
I got to roll.
The I like that that dude is like debunked a bunch of mythologies that AA put out there. I mean, like they're just stuff that happens. Like it wasn't like somebody was like rubbing their hands together saying we're gonna make some mythology. It's like no, it's just stories that get told and retold and then you know. But so at the time when I encountered that book, the Writing the Big Book, when I first encountered it, I was like a big book thumper. So I'm like, oh, everything's got to be done by the book, in the book, how it's that's the way it needs to be done. And then when I listened to this book, it broke a lot of that away from me, which was very helpful. And classic book.
Basically a fundamentalist frame.
That brings up an interesting point. Is like if whatever we get catches on and people start using it, they could become thumpers of it. That would be awkward.
They most certainly will.
TLC thumpers.
Yeah.
There are already Nazi protocol, estuary protocol Nazis. They're out there. Vendonk, when I play with the protocol, Vendonk looks at me like, "Don't touch my protocol. It's perfect."
There is a difference, though. So here's one difference. There is the Not Estuary show where you can actually see how it's done. So it's not just hearing about it through a book. It's actually seeing how it's done. Now, it's not the same as in person. It's not. But it's closer, I would say, to the in-person than reading a book about the in-person.
If I could add one thing to the protocol, it would be explicit share for practice. So it would be, like intellectual, personal, estuarily, contextual, or practice, or whatever, like something like that. This
is not the place to fix the estuary protocol.
I know, but where the hell is,
Just do it on your own.
If you were gonna do a Friday live stream today, what would you have covered, Paul? Maybe we can go there.
Well, I've been, basically what the video I homeroom this morning was basically what I was thinking. Or I probably would have had these guys on and talk about the event because I want to hear from them about their takeaways from it. And so my Fridays, if I don't have BOM Q&A, they're pretty flexible. So, I was happy to see you were doing it. I missed everything you said up until now. So you should make sure that I'm streaming this to my channel. If you want to see the first hour in some of this, you got to go to Grim Grizz's channel and watch the whole thing.
It's Griswold Grim on YouTube, but Grim Grizz should find you, me. Since you want their feedback on the event, why don't you get that while I get myself some coffee?
Okay. Well, let's hear your feedback. Any things that bubbled up now that we're a week after it?
I want to do it even smaller. So, like Airbnb house with 6 or 7 people, boom, and you got a retreat.
I'm telling you, this all comes down to the Jesus had the top 3. Neil wants to be your Peter, John, or James. That's what this.
Can you drink from my cup, Neil?
I was not going to invite you specifically, PBK. No, I'm saying if I want to have a New Orleans event, I probably can't get 15 people, but I bet I could get 5 or 6.
Well, Chad did the dinner. The denim dinner. So no, I think people should get together. And Jeff did the prototype before any of this ever started. I wasn't even there.
Yeah, the smallest event on record. 2 people. Well, not on record, but the first one. 2 people. You
should say something about that, because now that's already mythological for this group. Because you mean there was a get together before Thunder Bay?
Yeah, there were actually a couple. But this one, again, organically formed, like you were talking about. I went on your channel. I talked. I did the vulnerability thing. I cried. I made you cry, Paul. One of my friends was like, I can't believe you made the pastor cry.
He's a soft touch.
But yeah, and then in the comments, somebody showed up and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Texas in a couple months. We should meet up." Somebody from the Netherlands that's known very well on your channel, Paul. Job said, "I'm going to be in Texas. Everything's right around the corner from each other. We should meet up." And so shortly after that, I took a 4-hour drive to Austin, and we got together for lunch. And we're like, "Hey, I know you from seeing you in this space." And he said, "Oh, same." And then we talked about it. We had a great lunch. We had a great conversation. Our server took a picture of us, and I immediately posted that on what was then known as Twitter. And I tagged you, Paul, and I tagged Jordan Peterson. I don't know if Jordan Peterson ever saw it. And then I also tagged Job. And there was a little bit of concern about association with Jordan Peterson and how that might play amongst the people who knew him on Twitter. But I don't think that it was an issue. But I guess the point of all this is, just through the comments section, before there was a Discord server of any sort, you were our connection point, Paul, where you could kind of help us get together before we had all of these technologies in place that allowed us to do it ourselves. And so, I know you hate being the bottleneck, and I think that's the evergreen problem that a pastor runs into is, everybody's coming to me. And one of the skill sets of a great pastor is I can figure out how to connect you to all of the other people who will help you get what you need. And through the aid of technology and just through that natural that professional ability that you have to do that, that's how all of this stuff, started to grow. So that's a little bit of the mythology right there for you. So
I just got to say, I got to wear my Keck hat here. So like Jordan Peterson and that thing that Grizz keeps playing.
Yeah, if you position your head just right, you're wearing the Keck hat. That's great.
I have to say I've lost respect for Michael because he has a doodle. Do not like the
women choose the
Doodles are the best.
The deli.
His is better behaved than mine. I can tell you that.
Doodles
So
are great.
BBK. You
They don't shed.
before Thunder Bay, and that made me, of course, remember the Thunder Bay promo clip live on this channel. And I would really love it if you'd make John and Pajot watch that before you guys do the conversation you have scheduled, unless you put it in the can already.
No, we're going to talk in a couple of weeks. What do...
Because it's like the hype of Thunder Bay and where you are now angle, right?
Well, send me a link to it, Grizz. I'll take a look at it. Maybe I can send it to them.
I will. It's I don't know, to the extent that this is something, because at this point it's been part of our lives for this long. It's fun to look back at events like that.
Yeah. Yeah. There was also before Thunder Bay, there was also the Australia Jordan Peterson conference that I spoke at. And there was the first event that I did in my sister's house. So I guess there were those two things before then too.
And the fishing trip.
Oh, the fishing trip, the John Van Donk, Bernie fishing trip.
Oh, no, before that. Or I can't remember if it was beforehand, but it was where me and Jacob and Sam got together in Arkansas with Charlie. And then Lance showed up. I don't remember the exact timing on that, but that was via Discord that was.
I want to know if Jacob fished.
Nobody fished. It was the fishing, not fishing trip. It was originally billed that we were going to go fish, and none of us did because we were so busy talking to each other the whole time.
Because the most famous fishermen in all of history are Jewish.
Well, don't miss out. Become part of the history. Join the next event near you, even if it's only Midwestuary 2025.
Which is going to be a biggie. And then maybe a Living Stones event at some point. I gotta. It's so bad if this stuff is left up to me because stuff gets busy. So then things don't get done.
Well, it just seems like anybody could organize a local group or even non-local group could just meet. I mean, and just follow the protocol, find a place to have it, and do it. Because we're only talking 10, 15 people, or 8 people, really, because we broke into groups of 6 and 7.
But be sure to check into ELSNet or Estuary Leader Support Network and be documented and not be outside of our system of control.
Well, there are estuary groups happening all the time, all over the world now. And one of the things that when people come to Living Stones because they want to see what's the place actually looks like, I really try to get them there at 9:00 on Sunday morning for the estuary group because it's every week. And I'll tell you, that little group at Living Stones that meets every week, they are a sweet, sweet group. They really are. There are some characters in that room. There's really a very tangible sense of love. The conversations are always interesting. It's amazing. And it's completely free. There's no fee. There's no nothing. It's free every week.
And there's no coffee or donuts at the back of the room, as I understand.
Well, if you let Joanne know, she might bring some. So,
you usually go at least until 2, so I got 20 minutes to fill, Paul. What do? You just let people talk about things, right?
What do you mean? What do I do? I do the estuary protocol.
No, on the Friday live streams, I'm filling the hole in. You have all these people on, and I don't normally do this part.
You don't have any trolls. You need one troll. A troll will help get new ideas. You need one person to make a 12-inch sub and then eat it from Jacob's kitchen.
Anybody making a sub out there, click the link at the top of the chat. We're missing the food portion of the Friday live stream. This is unbearable.
It's all about questions, Grizz. It's all about questions. You just have to keep throwing questions at these people. Like Mark D. Parker. See, I had beard questions. So after everyone had left, it was myself, my mom, Mark D. Parker, and Michael Sartori. And again, we went through the whole weekend. Mark D. Parker didn't end a single life the whole weekend. I think this is a recovery program for serial killers.
He makes the list at the events. So you're saying that those with the beards were the last remaining standers at the event?
Oh, that's right.
Close the place down. And his mom is so amazing. Paul has an awesome mom.
Yeah, I've got a great mom. 86 years old. She's doing really well. I knew she couldn't stay away. She was going to be curious. She had to come and just see who's there and what's going on. My cousin Mel was sorely tempted to come by because she came by during the last one because everyone's just sort of mystified why anybody would spend all this time talking to her cousin. So it's just very strange to them.
We mystify all of our families, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And that was one thing that's really interesting in the AA group is the role of the wives. But I think with the wives of the alcoholics, they were super committed because they were really sick and tired of being married to an alcoholic. So once they had hope that there was some way for these guys to get sober and stay sober, I think the wives were like, count me in. Put drunks up at my house, I don't care. This stuff just has to work because I'm so sick of being married to a drunk. So
that's funny. That's funny, Paul, because one of my friends, he got divorced after he got clean. His wife could handle it when there was a clear imbalance, when he was a complete drunk, but the trade-off for that meant that she was always right. She was always right because he was a drunk. She had control of the money because he was a drunk. He cleans up. That is the end of the relationship. There's a lot of there's an old Chris Rock bit where he says a relationship that's not going to work is what are you doing? Is the guy says I'm going to church. What are you doing? I'm hitting the pipe. But two crackheads could stay together forever. It's like.
Speaking of which, or not at all. The three of you have been involved in this little corner for long enough for your partners to have noticed and judge whether or not it's been a good or bad thing in your life. From top way around PVK starting, would your spouse be clearly your spouse is still comfortable with your relationship. Do they think it's good for you what you've been doing on the internet after this amount of time?
she sort of keeps it at arm's length. Well, I mentioned on the membership only. You have to be a member to hear the video that I'm going to release when I get back home. So there's a grift. But I mentioned on that she's often saying, well, you should record videos in the car, because during COVID, we would take these long drives up into the canyon lands, and she'd be like, there's only so much listening to me you want to do. And part of what makes all of you strange is that you seem to have more appetite for this stuff. And so a big piece of it is, yeah, I'm glad you have someone to share this stuff with, because I'm not sure I really want to hear all of it.
Mr. Parker, how is it on your end?
Well, I wasn't home long from Olympia, and the wife got wind. I wasn't planning on doing Connecticut, and she heard that I was that there was an opportunity to go again. And over lunch, we were talking, and she said, "You need to go." I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yep." So I signed up. But at the same time, as I told Paul, well, I guess I said this in the estuary, but since I said it, I can say it out loud publicly. She said, in the course of some situation, conversation, she said, "But you're not getting me into the church, you're not getting me to go to church," because she's burned out. She's a person. She is a raised church going Nazarenes in a family of churchgoers who's a burnout from it. She's been, it's what, once bitten, twice shy, only she's 2 or 3 times bitten. She's at a stage where she doesn't have any use for it, but she is willing to see that what we're doing is good for me. So,
David, do you have anybody that would care or resent your involvement, or think it's been good for you? Is anybody close enough to you in your life to have an opinion on this?
Yeah, there's a couple of people from way back in the day who watch my Bible study kind of a thing, and they're fine with it. But anything that's more of the talking about ideas or anything like that, they're less interested. Some random guy that I went to church with like 10 years ago started sending me messages being like, "I saw you on Paul's stream the other day. That was great." And that felt very strange. I have a bunch of friends who are into sports, and I am not into sports. And the way that their wives are like, "Oh, sweetie, that's so great." That's how my wife kind of treats any conversation that I explain that I've had in the corner. Like, my wife does not know that I own a luchador mask because I did a video with Chad. She doesn't. Not only did I not send her the news program because it's all inside jokes. I'm like, she's not going to get any of these jokes. She doesn't even know that I own a luchador mask at this point in order to make those jokes.
So I was going to ask you, David, is your wife plugged in at all to anything that you do in the corner? Or is it, do you guys go to church together? Do you have any sort of...
My wife and I lead a Bible study.
Okay.
I've thought about bringing her on for a conversation about theater to talk more about the real and the unreal, because there's these ideas about theater that my wife has are really, really interesting, and I think will bring a dimension to the corner that people, especially people who are interested in ritual, would find fascinating. There's this guy named Anthony Artaud who did a bunch of psychedelics and wrote about theater, and my wife had to study him. I think everyone would find him interesting.
All right, Michael, does your wife think this has been good for you?
Yeah, I think so overall. She did join me on Jacob's channel one time. We had a nice conversation there, which means she was also able to enjoy David's joke about Jacob arguing with himself with his reflection. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it could have been, it could be any other thing at any other time in my life, like video games or just spending too much time working on projects that it's not always easy to balance the amount of time I invest, but it's okay. I just am comfortable with only releasing a video like every 6 weeks now or whatever. So it's just, that's what it is. But yeah, it's good.
And Chad coming in to weigh in. Does Dolly approve? Oh, your audio's kind of jacked.
I know. I'm sorry.
There you are.
Bathroom looks good. The shower head is nice and high. That's something I always look for in a bathroom. You want a nice high shower head.
Yeah, so that's all via the the TLC folks, and then we got like literally that whole pile of stuff is all from TLC people who have donated and gave to us, and so yeah, Anne is very I think she's all in as long as wrong button, as long as I can keep my attention aimed in the right direction, which is to be a husband. So yeah, look at donkey.
It's amazing how generous the community can be when we give them our time and attention.
It's wild. It is wild. I mean, yeah. Upcycle, big shout out to Upcycle.
All right. And now, closing branding, everybody. We'll do final thoughts. Final thoughts all the way around, starting with you, PVK.
Thank you, Grizz, for taking up the time slot. I worry about not being there. Taking care of the dogs. I got to go get a charge in the car, and then I pick up the dogs, and I'm back to Sacramento. If I get home in time, I'll do a rough draft for Sunday. Otherwise, you're just going to have to tune in to the Living Stones channel and see the final draft on Sunday.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Next up, Mark D. Parker. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I guess the final thought is I am wondering how this could go sideways, because in these meetings we do share a lot of personal, intimate details about our lives, and in the wrong spirit, led by the wrong kind of people, it could go sideways. Thankfully, we have very honest and sincere people, and we're led by a person of character. And the people who are part of this are people of character, from what I can tell. So, it's worrying about nothing at the moment, but it could go sideways. So pray for us.
All right. There we go. That was Mark's final thoughts. And if it's real, then it's not safe. I would say, booze Atil.
Good. Yeah, I think that we are oftentimes concerned with what goes beyond this, what will happen later, or how to make this bigger or anything like that. And when I was leading a Bible study, there was a friend that was going through some real difficulty, and everyone was inviting them, including myself, to be a part of it. And something that someone said, because they kept on pushing away from it, is that the program is not for those who need it, it's for those who want it. And so I think that that's what this place is for as well. You can't make people be interested in these things. They either love it or they don't. And I'm encouraged by how many people like the conversations that people are having. I think it's really valuable, but we can't make people find it beautiful.
What a happy final thought. How about you, Saint Sartori?
Don't overthink things.
All right, and that's been this stream, the VNA Friday live stream, keeping you not alone when anybody else would just leave you that way.